We talk about big shifts a lot, but AI, it really feels different, doesn't it?
It does. It's being called a general purpose force. Like, think steam engine, electricity. Something that changes, well, pretty much everything.
And the numbers are just staggering. McKinsey's estimating, what, $4.4 trillion in added productivity? Trillion.
It's almost hard to compute that kind of number. And that's why, for this deep dive, we've really dug into a whole range of research. We want to give you a clearer picture of how AI is actually reshaping the job market.
Because you can't escape it, right? The headlines about AI and jobs are everywhere. So our mission here is to cut through all that noise.
Yeah, get to what really matters.
Exactly. Highlight some surprising stuff, maybe give you insights you can, actually think about using. We've looked at reports, articles, expert takes, the whole lot.
And honestly, some of the capabilities now are kind of mind-blowing.
Like GPT-4 passing the bar exam in the top 10%.
Right. And getting, 90% on the U.S. medical licensing exam? That's serious stuff.
It really is. And here's where it gets interesting for me.
What's fascinating there, I think, is what it signals.
Yeah.
Earlier automation mostly hit manual jobs, maybe some routine office tasks.
Right. Predictable stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now, AI is showing up strong in areas that needed years of education, deep expertise, knowledge work itself. That's the shift.
Totally. But then there's this twist. Even with these amazing skills, only about, 1% of business leaders feel their companies are really mature with AI.
Yeah, that's the adoption lag they talk about.
So what does that tell us?
It suggests we're in this really critical window, the tech's racing ahead, but putting it to work everywhere.
Right.
That's lagging behind.
Okay, so there's time. Time for people, for companies, maybe even governments to sort of figure things out, prepare.
Exactly. Time to understand what's coming and actually get ready for these big changes proactively.
Okay, so huge potential, but maybe a bit of a slower rollout in practice. It feels like looking back might help us look forward here. History repeats, right? Or rhymes.
Absolutely. Thinking about AI, the Industrial Revolution is a really useful comparison. Another one of those general-purpose technologies that just turned everything upside down. Society, the economy.
Right. Steam, machines, and factories. Massive disruption. And the lesson there, I guess, is that jobs changed more than they just vanished. Yeah.
That's the long-term picture, generally. Sure, some jobs went away, but totally new kinds of work popped up, things nobody could have even imagined before.
Like, 60% of today's jobs didn't exist 80 years ago, something like that?
Exactly. It really shows how technology drives new opportunities in the end.
But we can't just gloss over the human cost, can we? The Luddites, they weren't just worried about economics. It was their whole way of life, their skills.
That's such a crucial point. Technological shifts aren't just lines on a graph. They hit people's identities, their communities. When your skills suddenly aren't valued, that's deep.
Yeah. So as we go through this AI transition, we need to keep that human side front and center. Address the anxieties, not just the efficiencies.
Precisely. And there's another wrinkle this time. Some research suggests AI might hit different groups than previous tech waves.
How so?
Well, think about the IT boom or industrial robots that often impacted male workers, particularly in manufacturing. But with AI, especially things like large language models, some studies suggest a bigger impact might fall on female workers in non-IT service jobs.
Huh. That's interesting. So it's not necessarily following the same old patterns.
It seems like it might not. Newer digital tech AI, big data, cloud, could affect women in service sectors more significantly this time around. It means we need to think differently about who needs support and what kind.
Okay, so the takeaway is still probably transformation, not annihilation overall.
Mostly.
But maybe with different impacts on different groups. And this unique anxiety because AI feels like it's challenging our intelligence, our uniqueness.
Exactly. That's a big part of the unease, I think. And it means managing this transition fairly equitably is absolutely critical.
Right. Which brings us to, right now. Because this isn't theoretical anymore, is it? AI is being integrated. We're seeing projections.
And some of those projections are pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, like potentially 1 in 8 U.S. workers needing to switch jobs. McKinsey talking 30% of tasks automated by 2030, 60% of jobs changed.
Goldman Sachs even floated up to 50% full automation by 2045.
And the World Economic Forum, 92 million jobs redundant globally by 2030. It's a lot to take in.
It really underscores the scale of this change. But okay, if we drill down, which specific jobs seem most vulnerable right now?
Right, let's get specific. Where's the highest risk?
The pattern seems pretty clear. Jobs with a lot of routine, predictable tasks. Doesn't matter if it's blue-collar, service work, or white-collar admin stuff. If it's repetitive.
It's potentially automatable. Okay, give us some examples. Like, who are we talking about?
Okay, think data entry clerks. Manually typing stuff in, checking it. Well, RPA, that's robotic process automation, plus OCR, which reads text from images, and AI data extraction tools. They're getting really good at that. So, high impact potential.
Right, makes sense. Office support, assistants.
Administrative and executive assistants, yeah. Scheduling meetings, managing emails, booking travel, a lot of that core stuff. AI scheduling tools, virtual assistants, using NLP, that's natural language processing, understanding language.
Like chatbots, kind of.
Sort of, yeah. And AI for emails, studies
Yeah.
suggest maybe 60% of those tasks could be automated.
Wow. Okay, customer service. We see chatbots everywhere already.
Exactly. For those Tier 1 reps handling the common questions, tracking orders, basic troubleshooting, chatbots and virtual agents using NLP, maybe some machine learning to understand customer sentiment, they're taking over a lot of that.
And bookkeeping.
Accounting class.
Works there too. AI accounting software uses OCR for invoices. Machine learning spots weird patterns. It can handle categorizing transactions, bank reconciliations, generating standard reports pretty easily now. Okay, this one surprised me a bit. Paralegals, legal assistants.
Yeah, but specifically the routine tasks, like sifting through documents for discovery, e-discovery, they call it basic legal research, drafting standard contracts.
Stuff that follows a pattern.
Pretty much. NLP and machine learning tools, plus specialized AI legal research platforms, can handle a lot of that heavy lifting. High impact for those specific routine parts of the job.
Okay, manufacturing floor. That feels more traditional automation ground.
Definitely. Repetitive physical tasks, welding, painting, assembly, even quality checks. Industrial robots, newer cobots that work alongside people, AI vision systems for inspection, that's accelerating.
Telemarketers. Seems like low-hanging fruit for AI.
Very much so. Automated dialers, AI voice agents delivering scripts, high risk.
Yeah.
Same for transcriptionists, with speech-to-text getting so good. And even basic proofreading AI, grammar, and spell checkers are pretty standard now.
Retail cashiers.
Big impacts from self-checkouts, automated payment systems, high risk.
What about entry-level analysts? Market research, say.
Yeah, entry-level market research analysts are vulnerable too. AI can scrape web data, analyze survey results, spot basic trends, write routine reports. The WEF figured AI could handle over half their tasks.
Even in healthcare. You mentioned radiologists.
Specifically for the screening tasks, that initial look at X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, just looking for anything unusual, AI computer vision trained on tons of medical images is getting really good at that first pass. So medium to high impact for screening.
And driving. The self-driving car dream. Or nightmare, depending on your
Yeah,
call.
truck drivers, taxi drivers, delivery, public transit. The long-term impact from autonomous vehicles is rated medium to high. It's still rolling out, obviously, but it's coming.
Then you had a couple of others, claims adjusters, credit analysts.
Right. For routine claims adjusters, AI can process claims, use image analysis for initial damage assessment, detect fraud. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects a decline there, about mid 4.4%. And similarly, for routine credit analysts, analyzing financial data for standard loans, generating credit scores with AI models, BLS projects about a minus 3.9% change there.
So looking at this list, wow, a lot of these jobs are the first rung on the ladder for people, aren't they?
That's a really critical point. The entry-level squeeze, as the World Economic Forum calls it. If these typical starting jobs get automated away.
It gets harder to get started, harder to get that first bit of experience and climb up.
Exactly. It could create a real talent pipeline problem down the road. Where do people learn the basics if those basic jobs aren't there?
That's a significant worry. It's not just about losing current jobs, but future careers too.
Right. And the common thread here is that high proportion of routine tasks and maybe less need for, complex human judgment or deep interpersonal skills in the core functions.
Whereas jobs needing critical thinking, creativity, empathy, they're safer.
Generally less at risk, yes. It seems to be a spectrum, really. How much is routine versus how much needs that irreplaceable human element? That's the key balance.
Yeah. Okay, that paints a picture of the challenges. But it's not all about jobs disappearing. You said AI is expected to create jobs too. Let's flip to that side.
Yes, absolutely. That's crucial. While displacement is real, AI is also a massive engine for new job creation and for augmenting existing roles, making people more capable.
So, net positive.
The World Economic Forum actually projects a net gain, something like 170 million new jobs globally by 2030. and the US BLS sees faster than average growth in AI-related computer jobs. So yeah, overall, the outlook suggests growth.
Okay, that's definitely more encouraging. Where are these new jobs popping up? What do they look like?
Well, a lot are directly involved in creating, deploying, managing, and ensuring AI is used responsibly. And then there are roles where AI becomes a powerful tool for humans.
Right, so give us some examples. Who's in demand?
At the top of the list, unsurprisingly, AI and machine learning specialists and engineers, the people actually building, training, fine-tuning these AI models. WEF puts them in the top 3 fastest-growing roles.
Makes sense. You need the builders. What else?
Data scientists and big data specialists, also in WEF top 3. AI runs on data, right? So you need people to collect it, clean it, analyze it, build models, figure out what it all means.
Okay.
Then software developers who focus on AI, building AI-powered apps, plugging AI into existing software, creating the infrastructure. The BLS sees strong growth for developers generally, and AI is a big driver.
So lots of technical roles, but it's not just the tech side, is it? What about ethics, making sure AI is used properly?
Huge area. AI ethics officers, responsible AI specialists.
Yeah.
This field is emerging fast. They focus on fairness, bias, transparency, compliance, making sure AI is developed and used ethically, super important.
And making sure the AI learns correctly in the first place.
That's where AI trainers and data annotation specialists come in. They prep and label the data AI learns from, garbage in, garbage out, right? So ensuring high-quality training data is vital. Growing demand there.
Prompt engineers, that's a term I keep hearing more and more. It sounds specific.
It is, and it's exploding. These are people who get really good at crafting the instructions, the prompts you give to models like GPT-4 to get the best results. It takes understanding the AI, creativity, problem solving. It's becoming a real skill.
Cybersecurity seems like another area where AI would be a double-edged sword.
Definitely. So cybersecurity specialists with AI skills are critical. Using AI to detect threats faster, developing AI security tools, but also protecting AI systems themselves from attack. WEF has security management specialists in their top 5 growing roles.
And checking the AI's homework, basically. Auditing it.
Kind of, yeah. AI system auditors. They evaluate AI models for bias, accuracy, fairness, security, compliance, making sure they actually work as intended and aren't causing harm. Another emerging but vital field for building trust.
Okay, building, training, securing, auditing. What about just keeping the lights on, running these things day to day?
That's AI maintenance and operations, often called MLOps, machine learning operations, or AI platform ops. They handle deploying AI into the real world, monitoring it, keeping it running smoothly, automating workflows, absolutely critical for actually using AI effectively.
And robots getting smarter with AI.
Means more demand for robotics engineers who can integrate advanced AI, giving robots better perception, navigation, ability to handle objects, make decisions.
Okay, so lots of tech-focused roles, but are traditional jobs seeing growth too if they use AI?
Yes, definitely. Look at personal financial advisors. The BLS projects good growth. They can use AI for deep data analysis, generating personalized plans, freeing them up to build client relationships, offer strategic advice.
So the human touch becomes even more valuable.
Exactly. Same for architects and engineers using AI for generative design or complex simulations. Healthcare professionals using AI for diagnostics or treatment planning, letting them focus more on patient care. Even in the green transition roles, combining environmental expertise with AI for optimization, forecasting, and renewables, WEF sees growth there too.
It really feels like this idea of human in the loop is becoming like an actual job category in many cases.
You nailed it. AI trainer, data annotator, ethics officer, auditor, prompt engineer. These roles are all about guiding, validating, ensuring AI works well and responsibly, even in jobs just augmented by AI. That human oversight, context, ethics, complex problem solving.
Yeah.
That remains absolutely essential.
And you mentioned AI making expertise more accessible, like lowering the DAR.
Yeah, the democratization of expertise. Generative AI, for instance, might let someone do tasks that used to require years of specialized training. That could be great for productivity, wider access.
There's always a but.
But it also raises questions, right, about the value of that traditional deep training. And could it put downward pressure on wages for some specialized tasks that are now easier to do with AI assistance? It's complex.
So for anyone listening, trying to figure out how to position themselves, what's the key?
It really comes back to cultivating those skills AI can't easily replicate. Deep critical thinking, creativity, solving novel problems, complex communication, empathy, collaboration. The truly human stuff.
Okay. So for most of us, then, the message isn't your job is gone. It's more like your job is changing, probably quite a bit.
That seems to be the most likely path for the majority. That McKinsey stat, again, Maybe fewer jobs totally gone, but perhaps 60% significantly altered. New tasks, new skills needed.
So AI handles the routine stuff, the data crunching, freeing us humans up for the more complex, creative, strategic, interpersonal parts.
Yeah, it's the ideal scenario, yes. Think of that call center example. AI synthesizes the customer data, maybe suggests solutions, but the human rep handles the complex emotional issue, builds rapport. The ILO International Labor Organization agrees, suggesting transformation is more likely the replacement for many roles, especially with generative AI. This idea of super agency, humans, amplified by AI.
But that worry about entry-level jobs, it still
Mhm.
lingers.
It does. Because those roles often do have more automatable tasks, that potential talent pipeline problem is real. We need pathways for people to gain experience.
So it's about task reallocation. AI takes task A, so humans need to get better at task B and C.
Exactly. NBER research points to this demand might drop for AI-exposed tasks, but it rises for the complementary human tasks, which means, job descriptions get fluid, you need to be adaptable, keep learning.
Right, constant reskilling.
And there's this other potential, catch the productivity paradox.
Okay, what's that?
AI boosts productivity, which sounds great, but it could also mean higher expectations, faster deadlines, maybe even more work, just different kinds.
Yeah.
Unless companies consciously manage it, share the gains, maybe shorter work weeks, focus on well-being.
That makes sense. It all circles back to individuals needing to be really proactive, doesn't it, about preparing?
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
The speed of change right now is just incredible. Technical skills might have a shelf life of less than 5 years, some say. A big chunk of skills could be outdated by 2030.
So upskilling, reskilling, not just buzzwords, they're survival tools.
Pretty much. Lifelong learning is the new baseline for career resilience.
Okay, so what skills should people focus on? You mentioned a triad.
Yeah, I think of it as a skills triad. Technical, cognitive, and social emotional. You need a blend.
All right, break that down. Technical skills.
Okay, so some basic AI and machine learning literacy, just understanding what it is, how it works. Data literacy, being comfortable with data. Maybe some basic coding or programming awareness, depending on your field. And just strong general digital skills.
Okay, cognitive skills. The thinking stuff.
Crucial. Critical thinking and analysis, evaluating information, spotting bias, including in AI outputs, complex problem solving. Creativity and originality, the OECD says demand for this is soaring. And strategic thinking, seeing the big picture.
And the third part, social emotional. The people skills.
Absolutely vital. Communication, clearly explaining things, including AI concepts, plus listening, empathy. Collaboration, working well with others and with AI tools. Emotional intelligence. Adaptability and flexibility, rolling with the punches. And leadership, guiding teams through these changes.
Wow. It's a lot more than just learning to code, isn't it? It's really holistic.
Totally. And look, there are ways to learn this stuff. Be strategic about your skills, find training, certifications, online courses, tons of resources.
And AI itself can help us learn.
Yeah, that's the ironic part. Personalized learning, instant feedback. AI can be a great learning tool. But, you can't just rely on AI. You still need that deep understanding, the critical thinking, the human interaction to really master these things.
So this isn't just about us individually. What about the next generation? How do we prepare kids for this world?
That's a massive question. Education needs a pretty big shift, I think. Less focus on just memorizing facts. AI kills us at that. More focus on those uniquely human skills. Critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, collaboration, and of course digital and AI literacy from early on.
We're seeing some of that, right? Adaptive learning platforms using AI like Khan Academy.
Yes, those tools can personalize learning, which is great, but parents have a huge role too, encouraging adaptability, resilience, a mindset that sees AI as a tool to work with, not just a threat.
So changing the conversation around careers, less what job will you have, and more how will you use tools like AI and what human skills will be important.
Exactly. Talking about roles that need empathy, ethics, creativity, human AI collaboration, because honestly, there's often a curriculum lag in schools. Things move so fast.
So schools need to be more agile, integrate AI, update constantly, focus on those foundational thinking skills.
Pretty much. The goal should be shifting kids from just being knowledge consumers to being critical AI users, maybe even creators. Understanding the tech, the ethics, the thinking behind it, starting much earlier.
Okay, so skills are vital, education needs to adapt. But beyond that, it sounds like our mindset, how we approach all this change mentally, is just as important.
It might be the most important thing, honestly. Resilience, proactivity, adaptability. That mindset is key. Because this change is deep.
Yeah, you mentioned the Luddites earlier. It wasn't just economic for them.
Exactly. It hit their identity. And when AI starts doing things we thought only humans could do, cognitive tasks, creative tasks that can feel like a challenge to our fundamental worth, you know?
So we need that psychological resilience, the ability to bounce back, to see change as opportunity, not just threat.
Yes. And interestingly, some research shows employees are often more ready for AI than leaders think. People are already using it, embracing that lifelong learning, seeing yourself as capable of adapting that super agency idea. Again, that's the mindset.
But not everyone feels that way, right? There's real anxiety out there.
Absolutely. A significant number of people feel apprehensive, and they need support, guidance, open dialogue. We need to build self-worth based on our ability to learn and adapt, not just our current job title.
And companies, society, they need to support that. Mental well-being resources, honest conversations.
Crucial. We need to talk about this openly and provide support structures.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. If you had to boil down this whole deep dive into AI and the job market, what's the core message for our listeners?
I'd say the core message is AI is bringing both massive opportunities and real disruption. It's a huge shift. But for most people, the likely outcome isn't total job elimination. It's significant transformation of how we work.
And navigating that requires, well, everyone pulling together.
Pretty much. Individuals need to be proactive. Keep learning, build those human skills, cultivate that adaptable mindset. Companies need to adopt AI responsibly, invest in their people, think ethically. And policymakers need to step up. Reform education, ensure fair regulations, provide safety nets.
It feels like the biggest risk might be just not thinking big enough. A failure of imagination.
That's a perfect way to put it. History shows big tech shifts create jobs in industries we couldn't even dream of beforehand. We need to be open to that.
So the final thought for you listening right now is maybe this. Don't just think about how AI might change the job you have today. Spend some time wondering. What completely new things might become possible? What new roles, new ways of working could emerge that we can't even properly imagine yet? What kind of future can we actually build with this technology? That's something to really chew on.
This is DigitView.